I think we continue to struggle with is, there is no urgency in the market, right? And it is hard to convince even the buyers that we have under agreement that now is the right time to do anything other than adopt this wait and see mentality that is pervasive in the space. And unfortunately, right or wrong, that mentality has created a situation where we're currently advising customers that there really isn't a 30-day number. There isn't a 30-day retail number in most markets, just because there simply aren't airplane buyers in most markets. In most markets where there is no retail buyer, or where there are no retail buyers, or really any quantifiable retail activity, and when we're all just inundated with these email broadcasts, that use words like massive and dramatic and all these crazy adjectives to describe, pricing in the market. The problem that creates, obviously, is it just further paralyzes buyers who are already on the sidelines saying, I'm just going to wait and see how this whole thing shakes out. And so I think that the message that Jay tried to send to the industry is exactly the same that we communicated, which is, we have an obligation to our clients, and most importantly, we have an obligation to the industry to just do better. I think that, as we've also seen, the offer activity that we've had in the last 10 days is frankly really encouraging. Almost all of those offers have been within 10 to 12 points of what an airplane was worth January the 1st. And so I don't think we're seeing any objective data anywhere in the space that would tell you that any of these knee-jerk massive price reductions are currently warranted. And I mean, I think to me that, the message that the market needs to hear, and one that we as a group have the power and I would argue the collective authority to tell, is that the world is not ending, right? The sky is not falling.
Now's not the time to panic. Now's not the time to do anything other than to be calm and have really strong resolve in regards to the decisions you make. And the first decision you have to make is recognizing that your top priority is protecting your employees. All of our people are our first priority. We have to keep them safe in terms of the workplace conditions as well as in their home, whether they're working from home or on site. That is number one. And the second is what you can do to help out. And we're doing a lot in regards to helping out our employees and the industry. We were doing very well, as most of the industry was through March. As far as what customers are saying, we've talked to our customers. We've talked to every single retail customer and all of our fleet customers. And every single retail customer is taking their plane. So a lot of the prognosticators out there are anticipating, because they don't have the visibility that we do, as to what's happening with the OEMs. And they see, furloughs or delays in terms of how OEMs might be impacted by supply chain, and they immediately think it's going to drastically impact their immediate production plans. But what are the customers? The customers is what matters, and we talk to every one of them. And as of right now, every single customer in our book is taking their plane. Sales activity, however, that's a different story. We tend to say it's going to take a longer period, maybe a U-shaped or even an L-shaped type structure that's going to take a long time to systemically recover. That might look more like 18 to 24 months to get back on the pace that we had been at. Now, clearly there's upside. You can always look at the situation very calmly and recognize that you might find some upside, because people could come to business aviation before they go back into the public sector and get on a large commercial jet that has 100 to 150 passengers on it. Maybe they're going to choose to make that decision to buy a jet card, or to go fractional, or to go from a membership program to a whole ownership program. So you might see some upside, but that's anecdotal at best right now, right? So you have to look at the things that are more systemic, and that's going to be the strength of the dollar, the strength of oil prices, the strength of the U.S. economy, the strength of the stock market that allows for the recovery of the financial sector and the economic sectors, that the businesses that allow themselves to buy airplanes can feel good about that decision.
We were all hit hard and quick, and it was a big surprise. Some corporate flight departments have shut down temporarily. Others have gone under self-quarantine. We have implemented a lot of health and safety procedures to protect our employees, our technicians. And I think that's the biggest thing for us as an MRO, especially the technicians, to keep them safe and working, so we can take care of the industry, the brokers, the charter companies, the management companies, everybody that has an aircraft, so we can keep our business operational. We're coming off a very strong first quarter, like probably everybody else in the industry. And a lot of that business has rolled into the second quarter, filling up April. Yeah, I think that's one of the very important things for everybody, is to protect your employees, to protect these experienced technicians so we don't lose them. And I think it goes farther to protect them from the virus, keep the protective equipment on them. By doing that, we can stay open, we can keep the economy going, keep the aviation industry going, and be there for our customers.
Jet, today, we have 38 locations around the world, which are typically our FBOs. 9 of them are in the United States. So what have we seen today in the slowdown? So on an average day, out of the 9 locations here in the U.S., and that is Bedford, Teterboro, Washington, Dulles, West Palm Beach, San Juan, Houston, Dallas, a new facility in Scottsdale, and our new facility out in Van Nuys. Typically on an excellent day, we are doing about 100,000 gallons of fuel per day. Staggering numbers. What is more staggering, of those 9 locations, today we are down to about 5,000 gallons per day out of 9 locations. So we are doing everything committed to our client culture, our safety, our employee welfare, all webinars, emails, and really taking questions from all of our clients today. So certainly over the last 30 days, we've had a lot of client inquirings. How do we save on fixed costs, variable costs? What can you do? Of the 174 airplanes that we manage here in the U.S., we've had one client, which actually is an airplane that's based out of the United States. It's a large cabin airplane. He's in the big real estate business. He's asked us to park his airplanes, furlough the crew. So most clients are very concerned on how to save costs. I mean, obviously that is the objective out there. So we are monitoring, sharing with them weekly reports, status reports on the pandemic. All of the FBOs are open throughout the United States, but again, very, very limited activity. So we are certainly aware of the situation. We will continue to monitor and work with our clients on a daily basis. I work from home. Most of the salespeople are working out of our house. We do have a limited staff, which is based out of Teterboro and some of the FBOs. One of the industry issues, which I'll share with you, Wayne, and everybody else, over the last couple of years, we've always heard about a pilot shortage, not only pilot shortage, mechanical shortage. Over the last 3 weeks, obviously, unfortunately, flight departments are furloughed. Some operations have closed down. We've seen an uptick in activity. Our sister organization, which is Jet Professionals, they're a staffing group. Typically, when we post a new position for a large cabin airplane, we'll get anywhere from 8 to 10 resumes from pilots that are all qualified. We've heard from quite a few airline pilots that would like to get back into the corporate market, flight attendants as well. So hence the pilot shortage. Is it going to disappear short-term, long period of time? Really, we don't know, but we are seeing an uptick in pilot activity with resumes.
You can see here, first of all, a chart that shows the history of this business going back to when I was born, the early 1960s, which is conveniently enough about as long as the what you might call the dedicated business aviation market has been around for. And what do you notice? 2 things. One, yes, there is volatility. Bad things happen, but then the industry comes back. And sometimes it comes back stronger than ever. It comes back changed, but it comes back. So long-term game and a long-term growth story too. One aspect of the market, you look at market output, and this is only looking at new build. The market, of course, for used aircraft, the number of transactions that are being conducted tends to be somewhat less volatile. So from the standpoint of new build output, yes, we are expecting things to dip a bit. The one thing we're most concerned about is at the top of the market, the big cabin stuff. Why? because you go back 30, 40 years and you see there's a pretty clear correlation between energy prices and large cabin business jet demand. And this is primarily because an enormous part of this market is either energy extraction corporations or high net worth individuals and businesses that are domiciled in countries that are dependent upon resource prices in terms of their economy, whether it's in the Middle East or whether it's Russia or South America or whatever else. So unfortunately, the other black swan kind of in the background, other than the COVID-19 situation, is the collapse in oil prices. Within a matter of weeks, we went from 50 something a barrel West Texas to something in the low to mid 20s. We need a recovery for the sake of this segment. Most experts seem to think that taking a recovery will probably take about as long as I guess you could say the epidemiological recovery from COVID-19, which is to say about 18 months. This is roughly an 18-month situation. That's true for the vaccine. That's probably true for oil prices. It's probably true for a lot of the economic fallout from a bunch of this. So in terms of what we're expecting from impact to the industry, we're looking at basically a couple years moving forward, which could be a bit bumpy. And here's what we're expecting moving forward in terms of, again, new build output for the business. Back during the last economic downturn, of course, the 2009 Great Recession, you saw pronounced bifurcation between the top half of the business jet market and the small and mid-sized stuff. And the stuff at the top just kept going, and the stuff at the bottom fell and was just starting to see signs of recovery. We are anticipating a lot more impact of this crisis on the large cabin equipment. This is really a function of oil prices. Now, at the bottom of the market, or I should say at the small and medium-sized cabin, we're expecting an impact due to the hit to corporate profits, due to the hit to GDP, due to the hit to equities markets. But really, this is a 2 or 3 year story, followed hopefully by a decent recovery, and then things revert to trend. So in terms of new build, we're going to take a blow. That'll undoubtedly show up a little bit in the used and resale market. Of course, we've never seen anything like this, and we'll have to see. It could be better, it could be worse.
I mean, I think as Richard just said, I mean, we need to get some clarity on the pandemic. I mean, we need some relaxation and meaningful relaxation of the travel restrictions and the lockdowns and the various quarantines around the country before we can see any kind of meaningful uptick in transaction activity. I mean, at the end of the day, people have to be able to use their asset. You know, it's probably at best a late Q4 type recovery before we see a real meaningful impact in uptick in transaction activity.
If you're in this segment after recovery, then you're obviously looking for aircraft that might potentially have all of the value proposition. Managing cash, preserving cash, looking for the best opportunity of value is going to be critical. I like our chances with the super midsize and midsize aircraft launch of the Praetors. We've seen great success with the Praetor 600 across the entire marketplace, to strengthening that recovery and bringing it back as soon as possible.